Hi guys, today I would like to share my birth story. Now, before I start my video, I would like to share some photos first. Now, this was the waiting room that I had to wait before I get checked into my labor room at Kaiser. And this was my labor room. They had a tiny TV that I never got to watch because I was in so much pain. And then this was the bed that I delivered Jayden in. I was in the bed for like 48, 49 hours. And this is where Jayden got ready. And I didn't really get to see it, but my husband did. And this was their bathroom. It's tiny. I never got to take a shower here, but I did pee a lot in here. And this was me at 39 weeks. I just had to take a photo when I was getting ready. My belly was so big. And then, oh yeah, the nurse said this wasn't going to hurt, but it did. Oh God, this hurt so bad. And this was the gestational diabetes friendly meal that they offered. They actually had pretty good meals. It wasn't delicious, but it was very satisfying for me. Um, and then I couldn't have any solid before I had Jayden, so it was apple juice and jello. And then this was me in pain while my husband was playing his iPad. How happy was he? And then this was us. They gave us an hour of bonding time. Everybody left the room, just the three of us. And this was baby Jayden. He was so wrinkly and purple, but I just love this photo. And then they wrapped him up, put some antibiotics on his face. He was all gooey. And then we also had a lot of skin to skin time. It was just absolutely wonderful. I loved it. And this was Alex. He was very tired the whole time. He didn't really get to sleep, and Jayden was just right there. Oh, and then Kaiser had the wristband, and then they have the ankle bands. Those are really good because if anybody tried to take the baby out of the hospital, the alarm would go off, and then the hospital would go on a lockdown. Oh, and this was the first time that Jayden lashed, and I just had to take a photo and then, make it pretty. And then Kaiser had a celebration dinner. Can you believe that? That was absolutely wonderful. And then I just want to share some photos of what I ate. I stayed at Kaiser for 5 days, so I ate a lot of food over there. And then I just want to let you guys know like what kind of food they offer. Um, just in case if any mamas are going to deliver at Kaiser, get a preview of what you're going to eat there so you don't have to worry about too much. And then before I left, they actually gave me a bunch of formula because Jayden had jaundice. So he had to be supplemented with formula. And this is the diaper bag that Kaiser gave us. Inside there was a small diaper pad and then a blanket. It was actually very useful for the first couple days until we got home and used my own diaper bag. And this was Jayden going home. Yay! Okay, so let's start the video.
Hi everyone. So today I want to talk about my birth story. Finally, I didn't really want to think back about it because it was such a long process. I was induced and I was in the hospital 5 days. Jayden is actually turning 5 months tomorrow. Finally, I decided that, you know what, if I don't do it, I'm going to forget about it. So it's time to do that birth story. Right, baby? We're doing your birth story. He's kind of grumpy today. He didn't get enough sleep, so bear with me. Bear with me. Okay. So I was pregnant with him until the 39th week, and I went to my last exam, and my midwife checked my cervix, and she said it was only 1 centimeter dilated. So if I don't have baby Jayden by, she said, the mid 39 weeks or the beginning of 39 weeks, I forgot. She said I cannot go over 40 weeks. If I don't have baby Jayden by that week, I would be induced. So basically, I think my due date was April 20th, and I was checked into the hospital April 17th because baby Jayden didn't want to come out. Like, no matter what, he just did not want to come out. He was having fun in there. I did like all the things, like the squats. I walked a lot. I went upstairs, downstairs repeatedly. I ate spicy food. Nothing worked. He was just happy in there. I even got scared by a lizard in my slipper. He was still very happy in there. He just didn't want to come out. Nope, absolutely not. You like mommy's belly, huh? So I was checked in the hospital 8 p.m. on April 17th. Now here's a tip. If you're going to get induced and you can choose the time, choose the morning time, because I didn't know. I checked in at 8 p.m. and they didn't really check me in until 9 p.m. So between 9 p.m. and 12 p.m. they charged me for 1 day worth of medical expense. And my coverage was the highest. I have Kaiser Platinum, and it was $290 per day. So they charged me $290 for that 3 hours. And basically I just lay there and didn't do anything because, you know, it was like middle of the night. Then the nurses just came and checked on me, and that was it. So I paid $290 extra for laying there for 3 hours. Now, my friend who started labor at 2 a.m. only paid $290, even though she basically kind of stayed 2 nights because she only paid $290. It really depends on when you check in the hospital. I mean, I'm sure each health care provider is different, but that's my experience. I pay 1 day of medical expense just for laying there doing nothing. So I checked in about 9 p.m. and they just poked me with like, you know, needles, and then I was hooked up to the machines, and I was just laying there, and then they gave me this this medicine. I wrote it down. This medicine called Cytotec. It's a medicine that they basically give you every 6 hours. They give you 1 dose every 6 hours. It's like a tiny pill, and it actually is supposed to make you go into labor, and you're supposed to be dilated more by taking that. But I took 3, and I wasn't moving very fast. And I think I was on the 3rd one Tuesday morning, and then I was only 2 centimeters dilated, which wasn't enough. So this other doctor came in, and he was like, oh, why don't we try Cervidil? I think that's how you pronounce it, Cervidil, which is a medicine that you insert into your cervix. And there's like a medicine, there's like a string, and they kind of just wrap it up, and then, yes, that's my hand. They just wrap it up and insert it in there. Now, when he inserted, it hurt so bad because it was kind of scratching my cervix, and I didn't really like it. Like, it was like, oh my God, I wanted to get it over with. Now, he finally eventually inserted in there, and with all the checks up I've done, it always hurt me when they check how much I'm dilated, just because I'm really sensitive, and like my cervix was really thin, even though it wasn't dilated, but it hurt so bad when somebody poked their finger in there and trying to check how much you're dilated. And this doctor was the gentlest one so far, but even him trying to insert that Cervidil in there, it hurt so bad that I was like, oh my God, are you done? Are you done? Can you be done? So he was done, and he put it in there, but there was no progress at all. So when I went to the bathroom, I kind of felt it was like, I kind of felt it when I was wiping. I was like, what is that? You know, and then I called the nurse, and I'm like, I think that Cervidil fell out. So the nurse actually checked. She's like, yeah, it fell out. Like, it was like right at the opening. So basically my body didn't like that thing inside of me scratching me, and it just kind of pushed it out. So like, I was uncomfortable for like a couple hours, and you know, it didn't do nothing. So I was just sitting there. That medicine to me was waste of time. It was a waste of time. It didn't do anything to me. So I talked to the doctor. I was like, can I go back to Cytotec? I mean, there was one last dose. You can only take 4 doses of Cytotec. I was like, can I go back to Cytotec? And he's like, okay, yeah, you can go back to Cytotec, but that will be the last dose. If Cytotec doesn't happen, then we'll go straight to Pitocon. And you know, if the baby doesn't want to come out eventually, you would have to get a C-section. So that's why he wanted to try Cervidil first. He didn't want to go straight to the fourth cytotech. But I told him that Cervidil didn't really work. So let's just go straight to the fourth dose of cytotech. And he agreed. So we went straight to the cytotech, and then that fourth one really did like speed through the process, because by the fourth one I was really having really hard contractions, like the really big ones, and I was like, oh, it was like hurting really badly. So he came in, and then basically he said, I'm gonna check your progress in like another 6 hours. And then he basically checked, and he said, okay, you're ready for Piticon. So, but I was hurting really bad by that fourth dose because the contractions were so hard. So they gave me, basically they said that, well, okay, so since it's hurting so bad, let us give you pain medicine. So they gave me pain medicine, and I was knocked out. It didn't really like, it just immediately knocked me out. Like, as soon as she injected, I was like feeling drowsy, and I just passed out. I was like, and then that pain medicine, it was so weird because I was like, I can't breathe. Like, I was having a difficulty trying to breathe. I could not breathe, you know? And the nurse kept on talking to me. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. She put like a mask on me. It's like, just breathe, just breathe, just breathe. And like, I just felt like I wasn't breathing. I was like, oh my God, I was not breathing. So by Wednesday morning, I think it was like in the AM, I was like 2 AM. I woke up because I was in pain. It was hurting so bad. The pain medicine didn't work. So I woke up, was like, oh my God, this is hurting so bad. I was drowsy. I was trying to fall back asleep because like with all the contractions, I really couldn't sleep. But I eventually fell asleep because of the pain medicine. I think I was knocked out more than fell asleep, but either way, I got a couple hours of sleep. It was like 3 hours or 4 hours. But I woke up at 2 AM because it was hurting so bad. So I was like, oh, I can't believe it. Like, it was hurting really bad. And then they checked me again about in the sixth, like they had the last dose by 9 p.m. So they checked me at 3 a.m. Sorry, they checked me again at 3 a.m. Wednesday, and then I was 3.5 centimeter dilated. So they say, oh, that's really good. So you're ready for Piticon. And once they started the Piticon, they also scheduled me for epidural because like I was really shaky. Like I couldn't control myself. It wasn't, I don't know, the pain wasn't what I expected. Like, it wasn't like somebody scratched you or, you know, it wasn't the pain that I've experienced before. It was from the inside. So I was like shaky the whole time. Like, I couldn't control myself. Like, it was like this shaky going to the bathroom, shaky everything. And then, so they scheduled me for the epidural, but the epidural didn't come until really a while after. But they did schedule me for the epidural. And then, but once they put the epidural in, I was like, I was like, this is good. Like, I don't feel the pain anymore. I was really kind of like drowsy happy. I don't know how to say it, but they were like, okay, well, you rest up. And then epidural, my husband had to get out of the room for epidural. And then they had a specialist came in, and there was just nurse specialist and me, and I was like shaking the whole time, and they're like, try to hold it. I'm like, I'm trying, but I couldn't. And then she made me like hug a pillow like this. So I was hugging a pillow, and then she kind of inserted in the back, and then it wasn't that long process, but once it was done, I felt really, really good. And then Alex came back, and he was like, oh my God, I was just walking down the hallway, and there was another woman screaming, like bloody murder screaming. And I wasn't screaming, so he got kind of scared. He's like, oh my God, how much does it hurt? Because that woman wasn't induced. She just went straight into labor, so she started screaming, but I was induced, so my pain was like gradually, but like for the longest time it just keep on coming. But that woman just went straight to labor, so she was screaming really hard, and the nurse was like, yeah, we got a screamer next door. And they act like, you know, they see every day, so I guess they're not really like surprised or scared. But anyways, so by Wednesday morning, the nurse came to check me on and off through the AM, and then I was dilating faster. So by the afternoon, I think they were checking me, and I was 8 centimeter. I was 8 centimeter dilated, and then I was ready to push by 7 p.m. So the nurse was like, "Oh my God, I get off at like 8, so maybe your baby should be out before I get off." I was like, "Really?" I couldn't wait because the contractions was really hard. Even though I had epidural, I could feel like, you know, the push, push, push. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a contraction push. So I was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it. The baby's gonna be out, so I'm not gonna be so uncomfortable again." And then because they did not give me any food starting from Tuesday, like 2 p.m., they basically said that, "Oh, we're getting you ready for the labor, so we're not giving you any more food." So by Tuesday night, I was like, well, I'm really starving because, you know, I was tired, I didn't sleep, and I was hurting. I really need something to keep me going. They're like, okay, we'll give you some liquid, some chicken broth, some sugar-free Jello. So I just had that. Monday, I did have food. Kaiser provides really good meals, hospital meals. They have GD-friendly meals. So they had like brown rice with meat, with veggies. So it was really good. Monday, I was like, even though it hurts, but I was at least, you know, eating food, and food was what was, you know, made me happy during Monday. Tuesday, I was like grumpy because I couldn't have food, and then I was hurting. I was the grumpiest on Tuesday. And Wednesday, because of the epidurals, I was just laying there sleeping the whole day because I really couldn't sleep before that because it hurt so bad. So Wednesday, I was like, okay, 7 p.m. they were telling me that we're ready for labor, like the actual labor. Besides, you know, I was just having contraction before and laying there like, when is this gonna happen? I was just laying there for 2 days. And then they were like, all right, so we're ready to go in labor. And they basically set up the whole station, have different nurses come in. There was like a bunch of people in my room. Besides me and my husband, there was like a bunch of other people in my room. So we were ready for labor, and then they made me like, you know, every time the contractions come, I would push. Every time it comes, I would push. And they would tell me to push, do not hold my breath, and just push. It was really hard because whenever I push, I try hard not to hold my breath, but I don't know why. My body is probably not used to it. Every single time I would try to breathe in and breathe out and push, but it's so hard. Like when you push really hard, you kind of just hold your breath. And they would tell me to don't do that because supposedly that's really bad for you. So I was really trying hard to breathe and push while breathing. But my sugar was pretty much under control because I was, you know, I had GD-friendly meals, and then at the very end, I didn't have any food, so I had low blood sugar basically throughout the whole time. And then I was pushing. They keep on telling me that, oh, you're almost there, you're almost there, you're almost there. I was nowhere close. I pushed for 2.5 hours. And they're like, one last push. And there was like a bunch of people. Like there was like 4 or 5 nurses. Well, not just nurses. There are also, you know, the people who's ready for the baby. And then I had a doctor who came in at the very last half an hour. But Jayden has so much hair. So while he was coming out of me, like the top, like this top of hair, head was showing in my cervix, and the nurse was just like this. She was playing with his hair and watching me push, and I was like, I'm laying there like, ow, I'm pushing, and you're playing with my baby's hair while I'm pushing. And it was kind of funny. And then they even put a mirror in front of me so I could check on my own progress. I was like looking at it and like trying to see how much I push, and I would see it every time I push, it would come out a little. And then every time I relax, it would go back a little. So I felt like I was going nowhere. It just come out and go back, comes out and go back, comes out and go back. And I was like, oh. And my husband was afraid to look into the mirror. He's like, I don't want to look at it. So I was only me. It kind of encouraged me to push because I knew how hard I was pushing and how much progress I was making. And that mirror really did help. So if you do have a friendly nurse, just ask her, can I see a mirror? See how I'm doing while I'm pushing. It really did help me. By the time at the end, it was like end of the 2.5 hour, I was ready to push him out. They were telling me that I was really ready because they got the doctor in. Before they were just, encouraging me, but this time is real because the doctor came in, so I was ready to have that baby. So they just kept telling me that you're doing good. I was doing better. I was getting the hang of it, the hang of pushing at the end. And I think part of the reason that it took me so long to push him out is because I was in the hospital since Monday, 8 p.m. So I did not have any food since like Monday at 6. So I basically, actually I had food on Monday, sorry. I did not have any food until between Tuesday p.m. to Wednesday, until he was born later. I didn't have food until 11 p.m. So by that time, I didn't sleep enough. I was hurting. I didn't have any food. I was kind of starving. I didn't really have any energy to push. I was kind of, tired, exhausted. So when people tell you to sleep while you can, really try to do it, because when you push, you need all the strength. I didn't really have much strength left because I was, in labor for so long. And I think that Cervidil really caused a toll on me because I wasted a couple hours of not eating and just be in labor pain. So at the end of the 2.5 hour, the doctor came in and then she really tried to help me out because I could feel like epidural really help you by not feeling the pain, because when doctor came in, they were kind of like stretching the opening of my vagina, trying to get the baby out. Like they would let me push. They wouldn't grab the baby, but they would just like, trying to like push it down so the baby can come out easier. Because every time you push, the baby comes out a little bit and then it goes back in. So by stretching out that part, they kind of just keep the baby coming out. So everybody was cheering, just one more push. There was like so many people. I don't even know how many people. It was like more than 6 people, 7 people in that room. I don't even know why. Everybody's like, just one more push. You can do this. You can do this. And so I did. And, before I pushed Jayden out, the whole time I was thinking, I am not having another child. I am not doing this ever again because it was hurting so bad. And he just wouldn't come out. And like even the epidural was really helping, but it was easing the pain. You can still feel the pressure and the frustration. And my back hurt really bad. I don't know why. Probably because, I don't know if it's the epidural, or I don't know if it was because I was laying there for the longest time. But when they tell me to push, like my back hurt really bad. So my husband had to hold my leg up towards me, push towards me so I could push. Now, so when Jayden came out, I thought I was going to be like, hell yeah, he came out, so I'm not going to be in pain anymore. But when Jayden came out, I cried. I was like, oh my God. I was so glad he came out. Honey, I'm so glad you came out. He's playing with his book. So I was really glad that he came out of me, but that feeling, I don't know how to describe that feeling. When he came out of my body, I just felt like something warm just left my body, and then I heard him cry, and I started to cry. I did not imagine myself crying, giving birth, because I'm not a emotional person when it comes to events like this, but I cried, and my husband did too. So we were all crying. Him, me, and Jayden, we were all crying in that room. And then, everybody was like, then all the nurses that was cheering, they got busy with Jayden, and then I was, I don't know what I was thinking. I was laying there. I was asking my doctor, "Did you get the placenta out?" I was like, "Why do I care? I don't know." But I did. I asked her. She's like, "Why? Do you want to keep it?" I'm like, "No, I just wanted to make sure it's out." I'm like, "I don't understand why. I don't understand why. Why, honey?" So, he came out and he was 7 pounds and 8 ounces, and he was exact the perfect weight because I was afraid to have a big baby because of GD. He's all happy. I was afraid to have a big baby because of gestational diabetes, but I control my weight so good. Like, I didn't eat a lot of sugar, and I basically control my carbs too. So he was perfect weight at 7 pounds 8 ounces, and basically they tested sugar, and in the beginning everything was fine because he just left my body. Here's a mistake that I made. Here's a mistake Mama made. I did not breastfeed him right away because I'm a first-time mom. I did not know how. So they gave us an hour of bonding time. I was just holding him skin to skin. They told me skin to skin is the best. So hold him. That's what I did. I held him. And my husband was next to us. We were enjoying the bonding time. I tried to breastfeed him, but I couldn't do it because I didn't know how. So I was just waiting until the nurse to come back and teach me how. But by the time the nurse came back, his blood sugar already dropped because I didn't know how to feed him. And they would teach me, but like he wasn't getting the hang of it, and I didn't know how. So his blood sugar dropped. I think it dropped from like lowest was 19. Then you are so happy. Then he dropped his sugar from 19, and then we gave him formula because it was so low. So the nurse is like, "Oh, you know, whatever keeps his blood sugar high is the best." So we started on formula, and we fed him formula, and it went back to 30, and then 35, and then 50 eventually. So he was healthy in like a couple feeding. But his little feet got poked so bad because they have to draw blood. So his little feet got poked so bad. I felt so bad. So here's the thing. If you can, try to breastfeed him as soon as you can. Like, first time mom, I didn't know anything. Like, I don't even know how to breastfeed. So I didn't know how. Now I do, but I didn't know how back then. So I would say if you can, just try your best because the baby's sugar will drop. Once they leave you, they don't have that sugar source. So it's a good thing that you know, the nurse offered us formula, and I fed him right away, and you know, his sugar came back up. But because of his sugar, we stayed in the hospital for like 2 extra days. So we stay in the hospital for 2 more days. All right, let's be on mommy. We stayed in the hospital for 2 more days, mainly because, you know, one thing was because of his sugar, and then another thing is they were checking to see how I recovered, and then, one thing I did not know, like nobody ever told me about this, is I didn't know how much you would bleed after you give birth. Like, okay, I know I'm kind of naive, but I always thought once the baby's out, the stuff just come out like at once. No, they will keep on bleeding for like, they say it's normal from 3 to 6 weeks. So when I came out, I was bleeding really bad. They gave me a pad, and they gave me like a mesh panty, and then like I would switch the pad and be like, oh my god, it was more than puree of blood. So I was like, am I having like some kind of, I don't know, problem? Why am I bleeding so much? And she's like, oh, it's normal. It's okay, it's normal. That's just how it is. They're clearing out whatever that's inside your body. And then, and it hurt really bad. Like, you know, once the epidural is gone, it hurt really bad. But when they took me from labor room to like a hospital, like a regular hospital room, I couldn't move my lower body because of the epidural, so they kind of had to help me push into the other bed, and then I was holding Jayden, and then they pushed me into the other room. And I was really like, oh, that moment of holding him, oh my god, I was so happy. And I'll show you a couple of pictures at the end, but um, he was so tiny back then. He was like tiny itty bitty. Um, so and then they, of course, he had jaundice afterwards. So we just had to keep on going to the hospital like every single day, and then they give us I think it's called the Billy lights, and we had to do that for a couple of days. But we checked out on Friday. I keep on asking them, when can I check him out? When can we go home? And they're like, you know what? Just wait. I know you're anxious to go home, but just wait because baby has low blood sugar. So I checked him on Monday. I gave birth to him Wednesday night at 9:30, almost 10 o'clock. And by the time I was in the other room, it was like 11. And then it was the next day, Thursday. They checked his low blood sugar, keep an eye on him. So eventually on Friday, I could finally check myself out. I was like so tired. I was exhausted. Like all I wanted to do was just sleep, but I couldn't because he was waking up at night. I was so excited, and he was waking up at night. So in that hospital room, it was really cold. It was really cold, but I was really hot because like I guess like after you have birth, you're gonna be really hot for a really long time. But I was like hot for the first day, and then I was suddenly cold for like an hour, and I was hot again. I don't know. My hormone was everywhere. So but I was really glad I was eventually finally able to check him out on Friday. So we went home, we were all checked out, and Kaiser was really nice. They gave us like diapers, they even gave us a diaper bag. I was really surprised they gave us a diaper bag. I got my own later on, but that one was really useful in the beginning because I didn't get one immediately. And so I was in the hospital for 5 days. Yeah, and I don't know, like if I could do it again, I would really hope that it would wait a little bit longer, just because inducing the baby wasn't the easiest thing. It was kind of painful because the medicine that they inject into you, and you were just laying there waiting for the longest time because there was like no progress. You just lay there and wait and wait. If I could choose again, I'd probably wait a little bit longer, a couple more days, because I lost my mucus plug right before they started the medicine. So I felt like maybe if I waited a couple more days, maybe I would have, had him. I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking about maybes, but I don't. I really didn't enjoy being induced. I really didn't. People tell me, like my friend went in 2 a.m. and she had the baby in 4 hours, even though she pushed for a really long time too, and she's like, oh my god, yeah, get epidural. But at least she pushed the baby out in 4 hours. I was there for 2 days, and that was like what, more than 48 hours. So I really suggest on having the baby naturally. If you really can't, then do induction, because that's the safest thing to go if you have gestational diabetes. But it is certainly not the easiest. However, at the time I was having him, I keep on telling myself that this is my last baby. I'm not gonna have any more babies because this hurts so bad. But after having him, like right now, he is just so adorable and freaking cute, stinky cute. I'm willing to go through that again just for another baby, just because they're so cute. Like they're adorable, and they really make you happy. Like he cries, he whines, but I love him so much. Like everybody tells you it's all worth it, right? Before, when I was pregnant with him, I didn't really understand what it's all worth it meant. I was like, I don't know. Like even with him in my belly, I didn't really felt that. But when he came out, I really understood what it was all worth it meant. So hanging there, mamas, if you have gestational diabetes or for any other reason that you're going to be induced, you will be fine. Get that epidural. I know not everybody is a firm believer of pain medicine, but I have really low pain tolerance. So for me, I would suggest get that epidural. It's the best thing for you. And then make sure to breastfeed right away. That's one of the tip I have. And then make sure to check in the morning if you're induced. These are the main 3 tips that I have for inducing mamas. So I hope you the best of luck. And I really do hope that, you know, everybody have an easier labor process, but I know not everybody does. So I just hope you guys good luck and just, you know, get ready for your babies. It's all worth it. I promise you. It's definitely all worth it, right? Ah, he's looking at the book. He just never looks at the camera. Jayden, say bye-bye to everybody. Say bye-bye. Bye. Good luck, everybody. I hope you have cute babies. An easy process, labor process, right? All right, bye-bye. All right, bye. I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe.